Good morning, everyone. Today we give recognition to St. John Capistrano, who lived, or at least who died in the year 1456, just to put that within context of history. But he was a man who was quite heavily involved in a lot of military escapades. There were difficulties going on. And so he, even though he was a priest, he would sometimes wear a breastplate and go into battle, not necessarily fight the battle, but he was a man who would go and give help to others. He became the patron saint of military chaplains. And there are many stories that are told, as we know, of military chaplains. As you know, there was a priest who was killed in the Twin Towers because he went in to help people. And then the towers came down and unfortunately he was killed. And we hear stories of people who on the battlefield are injured and the priest goes out to help the people and without a weapon himself. And perhaps no way of actually defending himself. And yet he loses his life because he is out there helping. And so, why would anybody want to do that? Well, because that's a calling. Sometimes we are called to be out there. And military chaplains have a very important job to do, a very courageous job to do, but a very important one because quite often people are in that situation that there's a loss of life. Maybe he has to go minister to the family that's left behind. Maybe perhaps you have to go and speak to a man whose family has been wiped out or that there's been difficulties. And so, there's a huge amount of counseling that goes on with these priests who are involved in this. It's a particular calling, but it's such an important one and one that deserves a special recognition. In the Gospel today, we have a continuation of what was read yesterday. It is Luke's Gospel, chapter 12, and it picks up in verse 49. And Jesus says, "Do you suppose that I'm here to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but rather division." And you'll know the passage because he then continues to also, there were difficulty between husband and wife and between brother and sister. And he goes on saying, well, people will be fighting with each other. He says, I've actually come here to bring that division. Now, Jesus would say, I brought division not so that people can be divided, but what I've brought is something that is going to cause them to be divided if they do not listen to my message. And sadly, we do find damaged families at the moment. We fight over religion and separate. And that's very sad, because there's only one Jesus, there's only one message, and that is to love one another. If you're in a situation which is which has a religious problem, I really do encourage you to just maybe make peace. Jesus doesn't want you to be in battles. Have a wonderful day. Keep safe. We'll see you again. God bless. Bye-bye.